at their end as the game went on. You can sense the urgency and the desperation that they were having. And after the game, it was game on. They had a team meltdown. I don't know exactly what the details were as far as amongst the team. And then we saw the after effects of that.
Real quick, am I still coming in choppy?
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna restart the call. We'll just keep the broadcast running. We'll try and redo the Skype call and see if maybe we can get it squared away. So I'm gonna call you right back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's like as soon as you went live, it went back to that super robot, super slow talk.
Well, we're still running live.
Okay.
But I just figured I rather than have a choppy show where nobody can hear anything.
Nope, it's back now.
It's back again. Okay.
Yeah, it's back now.
We are obviously experiencing some technical difficulties, so let me try and do this one more time here. Hello?
Yep.
All right. Can you hear me, or is it choppy?
No, I hear you fine. I switched it over to my phone because I'm thinking maybe my PC might not. I don't know.
All right.
My phone's actually newer and more high tech than my laptop is. So.
All right. So we're still live. I'm just trying to get this all taken care of. Is it still choppy, or is it good?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
All right. Good. All right. Hopefully we got it squared away. I'm sorry for that. We had a little technical difficulty, but I think we're back on track now. So as I was mentioning, so we were talking about Albany and Bobcats being gone.
Yep.
Bobcats, it couldn't have happened to a better person. Where I don't want to air out everything that we talk about in Manager's Chat, but he definitely had a lot to say early on. Albany this, Albany that, and I don't want to take away too much from Albany because they have been a good team. But,
right.
It does get a little tiresome hearing somebody constantly. Yeah, it's really obnoxious, and in a way, it's kind of poetic justice. I can't lie. But,
no, it is. It is.
But Bobcats is out, and I don't know. We have Nick X98 who takes over. And what do you think about Nick X98? I mean, I know he's a pretty good player. He's a better player than Bobcats. Yeah. He's an upgrade, obviously.
Talent-wise, yes. I don't know how he is as a teammate or even as management goes. So I have no opinion on that. I guess the next coming weeks will know if he can rally the troops and not let some losses affect him. And I think that's what ultimately got Bobcat is because he put the team on this level, and when they got knocked down a couple pegs, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Like
right.
You hold yourself to a certain standard, and when that standard isn't kept or it's not met, and I think that's ultimately what happens. So if Nick can maintain the composure of the team and get everybody back together. He's obviously already made some free agent pickups. I think he's got 13 players now. So he obviously went and dug through free agency and found people that he either was familiar with or, good word of advice from somebody else. So he's made some moves to make the team better, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade as a player, you know what I mean? And I guess, well, to me personally, I mean, Bobcats was just picked up for $3 million, so apparently someone either really thinks he's a great player or wants to use him for management or something. But I mean, I personally never really saw him as this great manager who warrants, that kind of attention. I think that, Pestilence had a lot to do with building this team in the beginning. And if you were to ask me, they're not even built that strongly. There's a lot of holes in this team, a lot of glaring holes, and I think they gave up some, depth and a fully well-rounded team for some scoring pop and some big-name guys, And, I don't know why Bobcats demands $3 million.
No idea. That, again, I've never played with Bobcats, but I mean, you just look over his stats and whatnot, and it just nothing there screams $3 million.
No,
nothing. Like I don't see anything that remotely comes close to $3 million, and it's not a knock on him. It's more a knock on I guess it'd be more on Tucson, since they're the ones that actually bid $3 million on him. But maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they're in a position where whatever it is he brings to the table, that it factor, is what they need right now, whether it be management, goalie, or a mediocre winger. Whatever it is, they felt that he had the it factor, and they chased him for $3 million.
Yeah, maybe he's got a 12-inch you-know-what, and they needed that right now. Who the hell knows?
Could be. Could be. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, a little mind-boggling. So Bobcats gets bought out. Nick comes in, and you talked about how maybe he can get the troops back on track, because they did have a little bit of a problem there. Let's just face it. I mean, at one point it looked like the team was imploding.
After we beat them on Monday, I thought before game 2 of that night, I figured most of the team was going to quit. And they would either be completely disintegrated, and you're talking like people getting blacklisted, the whole nine. That's what it looked like it was going. And I'm assuming Buds, and this is all assumption, but I'm assuming Buds came in and put his foot down. Because I don't know if everybody saw it, but there was some crazy trades trying to be made following the game with Chicago. They're trying to trade Benz, and they're trying to move this guy, and they're throwing everybody on the trade block. And I think Buds came in and said, "No, we're not going to make that trade. No, we're not going to do this." And I think ultimately that's what kept everybody in place. I think had Buds not stepped in and gave the leadership that team needed at that time, we'd be talking about a whole different ball game right now. Albany, I think, would be completely imploded. But I think Buds is the one that stepped in and saved that team, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, which is, he's got some experience, so, it's not beyond reach to assume that he's probably the one that took care of everything. Because,
right,
like you say, they were definitely spiraling out of control. You talk about the bench trade that was made, but then later reversed. And then there was also, so the buyout of Bobcats was completed, but the buyout of Nick X98 was not completed, because he actually was put up for buyout as well. So it's my understanding now, I'm not exactly 100% sure, that so in that situation they go to the owner, because I guess it's kind of like the owners are the parents, and I guess we're the children. So
essentially.
They go to the owner and they make sure that everything was okay and that they approve. And if they don't, then it can be reversed. But in order to do that, you need to get both owners to okay it and to agree. And from what I understand, the Syracuse owner wasn't okaying it. So from what I saw, it looked like in a very whether you want to call it a sly move or a crafty move or how I see it to be kind of a snaky type of move. I'm assuming it was Buds who goes out and puts bids on multiple guys to essentially block the trade. I mean, now I'm probably going to catch some flack for this because it does seem like a lot of people are kind of in disagreement with me. But I feel like that trade, has to go through. Because in my opinion, in my interpretation, Bobcats has full authority. He's, put in place by the owner and has full authority to make any sort of trades that he wants. And should he go wayward or go rogue, it's really the owner's responsibility, if you were to ask me. So, I mean, I don't really see why that trade was able to be blocked. And as far as bidding on people to block the trade, if anything, you penalize, you let them go over cap, you hit them with a fine for going over the cap, and then they lose the guy anyway. That's how I would have handled that situation.
Well, yeah, and the what you're saying about Buds overruling the trade that's kind of where being an AHL owner is kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, you're in charge only as far as the NHL team will let you. Mm-hmm. There are certain NHL teams that control the AHL team, and you're just a puppet for the NHL owner. And then there's other NHL owners who are helpful and they try and help you with trades that they work very side by side with the AHL captain. And then there's others that are completely hands off that could care less what the AHL team does. They could burn to the ground, they wouldn't care. But as far as that trade goes, because you work for the NHL owner, he ultimately has the final say. And this is the difference between the Springfield deal and this one is the NHL team for Springfield didn't care about that, and that's how that trade unfolded. Buds did care, and he stepped in. So it's the exact same scenario, except for the NHL teams handled it completely opposite. And so that's why those trades were affected the way they were.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying is the AHL, we are entrusted with, making trades and doing what we can. But at the end of the day, our rights can be revoked instantaneously by the NHL. They can override anything we do.
I've never been like an actual AHL manager, like in the real AHL. So I guess I don't know exactly how it transpires, but I would assume that if now AHL teams have general managers, so if they were to make a trade of a minor league player to another minor league team, I'm pretty sure the trade would stand. So I mean, I'm pretty much in disagreement with a lot of people on this. I think the trade should have been upheld, and I think any sort of fallout is, just that. It's fallout, and that's the way it goes. But, it is what it is, and I guess we move on from that. But just to summarize, Bobcats is out. Nick takes over. Damage mitigation complete. I would say that the damage was certainly mitigated. It could have been a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Less. For sure, yep.
But, they deal with what they got to deal with now, and they avert disaster and hopefully can get it turned around for themselves.
Yep.
I want to next go over the standings, just to move along here. Yep. I want to go over the standings. I want to talk about the Atlantic Division, what we see going on in the Atlantic Division. I don't actually have a screenshot of last week's standings in front of me. But off of memory, I might need a little bit of help here, but I feel like Providence was ahead of the Griffins last week. I'm not
They were.
100%.
Yeah.
They were?
I am pretty sure they were too.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, whether they were or not, I guess it's kind of a moot point because so we have the Griffins holding strong, number one in the Atlantic Division. Now they have 132 goals for and 89 goals against for a positive 43 goal differential, which seems to be the least of any other division leader. Well, actually, except for me, for the Condors. But aside from the Condors, that is the smallest margin differential between goals for and goals against. What's your take on the Griffins? Is there any sort of opinions that you have about these guys?
No, let me look at the roster real fast. I don't think it's necessarily, I'm not going to take anything from the Griffins, but I think it's more the Bruins are showing true face right now. Mm-hmm. They're showing that they are not as good. I mean, we talked this in previous shows. They're kind of a fraud team. They're high in the rankings. They look good, but obviously they couldn't hold it up. I know the Griffins got Burst Night Owl recently,
who's putting up over 4 points per game. So.
And I would say he's the momentum changer for that team. I'm sure he's the one giving them, the scoring power they need. They beat the Comet 7-1. Beat the Monster 7-1. The Crunch 5-1. So they're putting up points. Mm-hmm. And I would say that Burst Night Owl is probably a huge contributing factor with that.
Yeah. He's got a total of 14 games played with the Griffins, 17 overall out of 32 games that we've played on the season. He's playing, but with 4 points per game, if this guy could play even more, I think the Griffins would have a really good shot at maybe making some noise. Well, they're making noise now, but
they're definitely moving now. Yep.
If they could get this guy in for 6, 7, or even 8 per week, I think they'd be in even better shape.
Right. Yep, I agree.
Following them up is the Providence Bruins. Again, a team that, I've seen the Bruins already. We've played them. I don't know how many times you guys have seen them. We've seen them once.
I don't think we've played them at all yet.
No. Not really a whole lot going on with this team, if you were to ask me. They got some good guys. They're led by I forget. I don't even know how to say this name. Andre K. Andre K. or whatever. They're led by him, who he's a pretty good defenseman from what I know of him. Was a PHL guy. He actually won the PHL championship last season. But then aside from him, a lot of just kind of average sort of players. Decent players, but kind of average. Captain Power, who was with me last season, good player, good guy, good team guy. But this team is sort of like, I don't know, they're really average. Yeah, they are exactly. They're just really average.
Yeah, they have nobody that can come out and produce every night, and I think that's what's a glaring problem that they might have is they don't have anybody they can turn to and say, hey, we need this game. And no game changers. Good guys. Woogie's a solid guy. He was my AHL captain in season 10 for Rochester. Good dude. And he's a good player, but he's not going to carry your team. Gators Dynasty, he was a Edmonton owner in season 10. he's a Deacon Dangler, but that haven't seen him really since season 10. So
Providence number 2 in that division, 19, 11, and 2. So a few games over 500, 40 points on the season, and we'll see what goes on there. If you would ask me, I think overall, with all due respect to that division, but I feel it's a pretty weak division. I feel like it's really taken shape, and it is what it is. And Providence and Grand Rapids will probably be battling it out all season, and we'll see what happens there. So, you got the Griffins at number 1, Bruins at number 2, Rochester Americans in number 3, the Toronto Marlies, who are led by MG and Cuban, who I thought, they were one of my teams that I actually had an eye on. I thought that they'd be better. And I guess they're not that bad holding in number 4, but it is 4 in a pretty weak division. And, I think I expected a little bit more from them.
Yeah, I agree. If you look at the division, the differential between goals for and against is very close. I mean, at the top you have 43 and then at the bottom Binghamton's minus 57. But in the middle there, it's pretty close. So
yeah,
I think any team in there, I think if they get hot, they can go from St. John's can turn it around and be challenging Rochester pretty quick if they can turn it around.
Behind them is the Syracuse Crunch. Then we have the St. John's Ice Caps. Then the Springfield Thunderbirds, who I think they just went through a similar sort of phase with maybe not exactly the same, but
very similar
buyouts. Yeah, manager buyouts and people quitting and men sprouting vaginas. But so. They went through a similar phase, and they're second to last in the division. Not a whole lot going on here. They're under 500, and I guess it is what it is. And then bringing up the ass end of that is the Binghamton Senators, who are 10-21 on the season. 10-21-1, so they do have a point there in an overtime loss. And not a whole lot going on with that team either. So two pretty, I don't want to call. I really don't like calling any team bad because at the end of the day, every team is capable of beating other teams, and a lot of times, these teams low in the standings have just lost a lot of pretty close games or something like that. But season not really going their way right now.
Right. Nope.
Jumping into the Metropolitan Division, we have what I deem to be potentially
it's a
strongest team in the league.
Yes,
I mean, a good job by DeParens and Barnett over there. They've done a substantial job of creating a team that is, what I consider kind of like the opposite of Albany. Like, I've poked holes in Albany all season, really, saying that they're not really a complete team. The Lehigh Valley Phantoms are a complete team.
Yeah, they're solid from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. 26-5-1, 53 points on the season. Excuse me. They have 143 goals for and 75 goals against for a 68 goal differential. And they're cooking. After them, you have the Albany Devils, who, as we all know and are very all well aware, were number 1 overall for a while.
Yep.
And now they're number 2 in their very own division. So, didn't lose a game for a while, but now they've lost quite a few. They're 22-6-4, so still a pretty formidable record, but not what they once were.
Right. I think through the first 2 weeks, they only lost 1 or 2 regulation games. I think they had lost 3 overtime. I might be off a little bit, but it's something around there. And now they're at 6 regulation losses and 4 overtime. But again, if this team turns it around, those 6 and 4 losses could mean nothing. They can, really just depends on how things turn around and how they go forward the rest of the season.
For all the shit we give them and for everything that's been going on over there, they're still a really good team.
They're a threat. Yeah, they're a threat. They're a threat to any team, to Lehigh and to Chicago. Like I said, when we played them on Monday, it was a good game. And the thing about that game Monday, I'll just take a quick second, is we went back and watched some of the goals because we were surprised on some of those goals. Well, looking back at it, I think 2 or maybe 3 of the goals were actually scored because of EA. The goalie made the save and the puck went straight through him, like through his pad so really the game came down to an EA-ism more than them playing bad and us playing better. It was at least 2 of them were from EA, which really sucks because I think them losing to us really started the ball rolling, which it had the EA-isms not happened, I think it would have been a closer game and probably could have been less of an implosion from Bobcats.
So basically the Wolves killed Bobcats. That's what we're hearing.
That's what it sounds like. Well, that's when it all came down after that first game on Monday.
Substantial upgrade with management again. I know I mentioned it before, but I mean Nick X98, Mike Mastiger, substantial upgrade from Bobcats and Pestilence. Not to take anything away from those guys, but on a play level anyway. Managerial, that remains to be seen, but on a play level, a huge upgrade.
Right.
The rest of the roster, I feel like it was. I don't know. The rest of the roster is really not that imposing, if you ask me. I know they held on to Benz through some witchcraft, but they hold on to him, and Jaws Cal's there, and Semple, who I would assume is probably there for a limited amount of time, moving forward. But the rest of the roster is just not very impressive to me. I mean, sure, you can say that, Jaws Cal, eat those stinks, whatever you want to call him. He'll put up points, but I never really regarded him as a game changer, so to speak. Better than me, but I mean, a lot of people are better than me. So
right, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So anyway, Lehigh Valley #1, Albany Devils #2, Hartford Wolfpack. Excuse me, I definitely gotta talk about the Wolfpack because the Wolfpack started out in week 1 not so hot, started to turn it around slowly, and now they've just they've opened it up and they've got this machine running.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah, led by N. Spencer and then Chicks and Whips. This team, I mean, man, are they solid, especially offensively. Ty Lee, New York Sports, who was on my team, IB and I, or whatever, however you want to say that name. G Steak, Perk on this team, T-Bod, NJ Devils, Carter 11. Solid team, and they're playing like it.
Yep. I agree. They are moving in the right direction. They obviously know who they have and strengths and weaknesses, and it's working for them.
Yeah,
I think they just got New York Sports recently. I think Ty Lee is their game changer.
Yeah, seems like it. Seems like Ty Lee was maybe called up and then sent back down. I think, or I don't know. I could be mistaken, but. Usually the guys at the top of the roster, if they weren't there to start, are usually guys that get called up and then sent back down.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that as well. New York Sports, actually, he came from my team. I sent him over. Really, really good player. Exceptional talent. The reason why I actually moved him was so he was included in a trade. I had to, unfortunately, free up a roster slot, and he missed a few of his scheduled games, which I'm kind of I'm kind of a stickler.
Stickler.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you. As management, I can't put up with it because then it becomes
kind of a stickler. Yeah,
it becomes a problem.
If you're a good player and you miss your games, to me you're useless. So, but they're coming in at number 3, and watch out for them. You know what? I'm gonna be really ballsy here, and I'm gonna say that keep an eye on the Wolfpack. I think I mentioned them last week. I'm gonna mention them again. Watch out for the Wolfpack. That is your biggest competition in this division for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. It's basically the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and in Vibes' mind anyway, it's the Hartford Wolfpack after them. I think Albany slips. Albany's still a good team, but both of those teams are better, if you would ask me. After them, you have the Hershey Bears, who play a pretty defensive game. Good team, solid team. There's nobody in particular that I want to go over. But they are 22-7-3, so they definitely know what they're doing. They have 120 goals for and 85 against, and they play a very solid team game. So the Hershey Bears, definitely solid. Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins behind them. They are 5th in the division. Following them up is the Charlotte Checkers, who now we, with all due respect to you guys, but now we start to get into the really bad teams. So we have the Charlotte Checkers, Bridgeport Sound Tigers, and then the Cleveland Monsters, who, honestly, I mean, Cleveland and Bridgeport, I probably wasted way more breath than you guys are worth, with all due respect. But, all due respect because I guess you don't really have any right now.
I just hope that they don't have the issue where when you're that bad of a team, people start quitting and making it even that much more. No, I hope the team can find a way to come together and either make some moves or I don't know. But I hope the players there can grind it out and stay with it. It's hard. I've been on teams where you're just it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter who you move or how you do it. You just once the wheels come off, it's almost like they can't get put back on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got to see a message from Plastic World telling me the show is as all fuck today. Oh, slow as all fuck. I guess he's talking about the show. I don't know. Maybe you need to get past a part there because there was a part where it was messing up. Hopefully it corrected. I don't know what it sounds like. I guess I'll have to go back and listen to it because I don't hear it right now. But hopefully it got...
No, you sound fine. Yeah, you sound fine.
All right. Then we get into the Western Central Division. Mr. Stevens, your boys, number 1. Number 1 overall, too. How about that?
Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing bad to say. We play a complete game, top to bottom. We don't have any glaring weaknesses, and we all get along. We all play together, and I think that's the reason we're succeeding right now. Is everything flows, and we just keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played against you guys finally, and. Definitely a solid team, and one of the teams that are going to be there when the smoke begins to settle. Definitely keep an eye on Chicago. They will be a problem. Not a problem that I don't think that we or some other teams might be able to solve, but definitely a problem nonetheless.
Yeah, every team has bad nights. We definitely have our own. So I'm sure somebody will catch us slipping. It happens.
Yeah. Rockford Ice Hogs, number 2. Another good team, solid team. T-Man, who joins us frequently, is running the show over there. And they've been good. 22-6-4 on the year. 48 points on the season. 156 goals for, 108 against, for a differential of a positive 47. And they've been really good.
Yep. They for sure will give us a run as the season goes on and as we get closer to the playoff. I'm sure T-Man's not done making moves. I'm willing to bet he's gonna, make some big moves to get some pieces that he feels he needs. And I won't count them out until they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah. So this division, two really, really solid teams with Chicago and Rockford right behind them. Really good teams, definitely going to be there. And then there's what I would consider to be quite a significant drop off.
It's right, yeah, it's drastic.
Yeah, it's a cliff. It's just see you later. Coming in number 3 in this division, Texas Stars with a record of 17-14-1. So just barely over 500, 3 games over 500, 35 points on the season. 122, and they're actually a -5. So 122 for, 127 against. So they're giving up a ton of goals, and
it's hard to win when you're giving up more than you score.
Yeah, it certainly is. And they just recently made a trade this past week, I believe it was, or it was the week before. No, it was this week because we weren't allowed to talk about this one. This, by the way, is one of the trades that we were talking about when we weren't allowed to mention it. But they send Clark Skog, also known as Hillary Knight, over to who did they go to now?
Binghamton, yes.
Right.
Yep.
So they sent him over there, and coming back is a flesh-eating alien. We spoke about that trade a little bit. Weird trade, but that was the move. And that's where Texas is currently third in the division, excuse me, and not doing as good as I thought that they may in the beginning of the year. Manitoba Moose behind them, 4th in the division. San Antonio after them, 5th. Iowa Wild, and the very, very ass of the division, the Milwaukee Admirals, with a 8-21-3 record on the year, 19 points on the season, and let's just call a spade. They suck.
Yeah, I think they just had a buyout too. I think they're. I might be wrong about that, but I thought I saw something about a buyout with them. But yeah, it's rough. Iowa's had problems ever since Galley left. They've tried to turn it around. They've tried to keep the wheels going, but yeah, Iowa and Milwaukee both they're hurting.
They're not doing too good right now. Iowa, like you said, they were a pretty good team at one point. Like they were okay, and
yep.
I don't know what the hell happened. The bottom fell out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the details of it. I know one day we got on and Galley was gone, and after that they made some. They brought Edge in, and he just hasn't been able to get traction going forward.
Into the Pacific Division, and you know what? I usually don't talk much about my boys, but I'm going to go ahead and give a few mentions this week because, well, number one, they gave me some shit for never talking about them because, by design, I don't want to sound like someone who just talks my team up, but I will give her a little recognition because it's certainly due. Although we slipped a few spots, but it's a long season. I always
it is.
I talk all the time about Bobcats, how he was constantly saying, "Oh, we're number one, we're number one, we're number one," and we fall a few spots. But listen, let me tell you right now, we're not worried about it. Not even in the slightest.
No.
Especially when we have about $65 million in cap. And doing pretty good when all is said and done. I mean, holding 5th overall, so not too bad. A little bit of adversity right now going on in Bakersfield. Our starting goaltender and assistant captain has been having some off-ice issues, and he's been trying to take care of that. So a little bit of a downturn, a little bit of problems within the team. Not inner turmoil, but just personal problems going on right now. We pick up a few guys. We pick up Riverdale Stomp through free agency, who's a great guy, and he's played really well for us. Funky, another great guy, good defenseman, solid. And then the rest of the team, who I just want to talk about, they've been here for a little while. Well, the raw meat patty's kind of new, but definitely a solid player. Sully Dog 617, who is an absolutely awesome kid and top of the line when it comes to talent. Kid's got all the right tools. A few things that he needs to put together, but he's got all the right tools in all the right places, and definitely big things for him. Intrinsic, who's been backstopping for us in Pony's absence and sporadically through the season. He also plays wing, great winger, really solid goaltender, and he's just all around good player. Pain Train, solid. Striz, solid on the back end. Minor Threat, solid on the back end. And my favorite Philadelphian intro. He's been exceptional for us. Great down the middle, and he's been really good on the back end recently because we've had some issues, and he's a great utility guy. Fills in wherever, and really solid team. Happy to have him. Great group of guys, and see big things coming for the Bakersfield Condors. And that's it. I'm not going to ever talk about my team ever again because I don't like doing that. It makes me feel funny. San Diego Gulls, who put a absolutely just the worst shellacking on us that you could possibly imagine. They beat us I forget, it was 25-2 or something. But I mean, they killed us, and this team is on the rise. I think, Jim, you mentioned that they're coming off probably their best week of the season.
Yeah, they went 7-1 on the season. On the week, so it definitely swung them in the right direction. So yeah, 7-1 is no joke. That's a good week.
Yeah. Solid team, this team. And, these were one of the guys who kind of like the Hartford Wolfpack, who were a little puzzling to me because they struggled in the beginning, but now they seem to have turned it around a little bit. But JM Ligty, I don't know how the hell I say it. I always say JM Light, but JM Ligty, who's a very good defenseman, offensive defenseman, very solid, moves the puck well. NHL Rick, who they picked up from San Antonio. He was taking a bidding in San Antonio. Pitt 09 Penn, solid.
Good winger. Yeah.
JT Drifty, who he's called a cup winner. He was with the Ice Caps last season. Very solid, good defenseman. Broski, who they picked up in bidding in after
late free agent bidding. Yeah,
right, free agent bidding. Timmy Z was picked up in original preseason bidding. Ryan X 28, and then Apollo 77 on the back end. So solid team who you kind of knew was going to be there. And it was kind of puzzling as to why they got off to such a slow start. But they're heating up now, and they will definitely... Well, I'm assuming. I guess I haven't looked at them yet, so I have to see what the power rankings look like. But I'm assuming they're probably up there in the power rankings. So they move into number 2 ahead of the Reign, and they're doing big things. So credits to Jay Tryhard, who, sometimes I think I like him, sometimes I'm not exactly sure, but anyway. And there you go, I got a picture for him up right now that everyone can look at. That's for you, Tryhard. And then we have the Ontario Reign at number 3, solid team, Reaper and Kid Money, They've been married now for 6 or 7 years. They got to be going on, so really happy for them. Maybe they have a baby on the way or something. I'm not exactly sure, but Reaper and Kid Money leading that team in Ontario, and they've been pretty good. The Utica Comets, who have actually beat us twice. Both games we absolutely crushed them. in regards of time on attack and shots and things like that, but somehow they've beaten us twice. Stockton Heat behind them, the Barracuda after them, and then finally the Roadrunners. Barracuda, who are 13 and 15, 2 games behind 500. Excuse me, and they've been better of late.
Yeah, I think this division here is probably one of the most balanced. I mean, with Bakersfield and the goals kind of rising to the top, but Ontario down to San Jose, that's not a very big margin there. San Jose definitely has made some changes. They took us to overtime last week. We beat them in overtime, but it was a good game. It was a solid game. But none of these teams, Ontario, Utica, and Stockton, San Jose, none of them stick out as powerhouses or I don't want to say a threat, because any team can be a threat, but you don't see anything that scares you about them. But I think, this is a very balanced division as far as anybody can get hot again. And, San Jose is a prime example. They were way at the bottom. They were down there where the Admirals are for a while. And Danson Tink's got to move in the right direction now.
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job. You gotta give credit when it's due,
Well, yeah, you go from. I mean, I think they were one of the bottom 4 or 5 teams. They were really bad. I'm not sure where they are in the power rankings right now, but I would imagine they're mid-level, maybe maybe bottom side of it. But coming from the very bottom, I mean that's good to see.
It's improvement. It's definite improvement.
Yeah. Yep.
So the biggest changes that I could think of is probably the goals jumping the rain, and then in the the Metropolitan with the Hartford Wolfpack moving into third and starting to really get things together. And then on the negative side, probably the Albany Devils beginning to fall to where I personally see them.
Right. Yeah, I think Hartford is moving up fast, and I think I'm not going to call Albany out yet. I'm not going to say they're dead men walking, but the next week or two is really going to have some bearing on this. If they can't get it together, Hartford is going to overrun them, and they're going to run away quickly. So, other